Have you ever felt trapped in a maze of insecurities and uncertainties, not knowing how to find your way out? For Marcos, this was his daily reality. He felt lost in a sea of anxiety, surrounded by doubts that kept him from moving forward. Every mirror reflected not just his face, but the weight of unemployment and an internal struggle that seemed endless. But what if I told you that change begins in a single moment? One small decision, an unexpected encounter that could ignite the flame of self-confidence. In this video, we'll follow Marcos on his transformative journey, where each lesson becomes a light at the end of the tunnel. Get ready to discover how to face fears, rediscover passions, and build a future where hope shines brighter than doubt. Marcos looked out the window, watching people rush by, each with their own dreams and challenges. He felt like a spectator in his own life, trapped in a cycle of frustration. The question echoed in his mind: when did everything become so difficult? It was on that day, sitting in a cafe, that a familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Lucas, an old friend who had noticed the shadow of discouragement in his eyes. "Marcos, are you still the guy who always dreamed big? What happened to your plans?" Those words were like a cold splash of water, awakening something he thought he had lost forever: self-confidence. As they talked, Marcos realized that the only thing holding him back was a lack of faith in himself. The idea that if he didn't believe in his own worth, how could he expect anyone else to? A new determination began to grow within him, a flame of hope that was about to be ignited. At that moment, he decided he would no longer hide. Instead of letting insecurities consume him, he stood up and made a promise to himself. He would rediscover the potential that had always been there, waiting to be revealed. The journey to self-confidence had begun, but it wouldn't be easy. Marcos knew the road ahead would be full of obstacles. The job market was a ruthless jungle, and every no he received was like a blow to his self-esteem. But instead of getting discouraged, he remembered Lucas's words: learn, adapt, and grow. So he decided to dive headfirst into new opportunities, seeking the knowledge he needed to stand out. It was during this search that he rediscovered a dormant passion: writing. Words had always been his refuge, a place where he could express his ideas and feelings without fear of judgment. He began to write about his experiences, turning pain into learning and inspiring others with his story. With every new word he typed, Marcos felt that he was not only learning, but also reconnecting with who he truly was. And as he navigated the nuances of continuous learning, he realized that each step forward was a victory, not just against unemployment, but against his own doubt. Although Marcos was rediscovering his potential and immersed in learning, there was a feeling that persisted: the sense of isolation. The hours spent in front of the computer, absorbing knowledge and writing feverishly, filled his time but not his heart. Loneliness was a silent weight, a shadow that followed him even in moments of achievement. One afternoon, while reviewing his notes in a park, the contagious laughter of a nearby group caught his attention. They were colleagues sharing ideas, dreams, and challenges. Marcos realized how much he missed that human connection, that exchange that enriched not just the intellect, but also the soul. Determined to break that cycle, he ventured out to attend a local entrepreneurship event. With his heart racing, he entered the hall full of engaged and enthusiastic people. He felt small, almost invisible, but something inside him pushed him to stay. During an inspiring lecture, one phrase deeply resonated: "None of us is as strong as all of us together." After the lecture, he gathered the courage to approach other participants. He started timid conversations that, to his surprise, flowed naturally. He shared his experiences, listened to similar stories, and realized that many there were also seeking not just professional success, but meaningful connections. It was at this event that he met Sophia, a dynamic professional who was captivated by Marcos's passion for writing. "I'm organizing a collaborative project, and I think you'd be perfect for it," she said with a warm smile. That opportunity seemed like a dream come true. As he got involved in the project, Marcos not only expanded his skills, but also built bonds that went beyond work. The meetings became moments of genuine exchange, where ideas buzzed and motivation was shared. The importance of networking was revealed not just in professional advancements, but in the richness of the human relationships he was cultivating. Marcos now understood that he didn't have to walk his path alone. Every person who crossed his path added a new color to his journey, making it more vibrant and meaningful. But even surrounded by this new support network, one internal challenge remained to be faced. The fear of failure persisted like a stubborn shadow. With every new step, a voice whispered doubts, questioning whether he was truly ready to take on bigger risks. It was time to confront this fear head-on and turn it into fuel for the next stage of his transformation. Despite all the progress, one final barrier stood in Marcos's way: the fear of failure. Each new challenge came with that insistent voice in his mind, whispering doubts and planting insecurities. One night, while working on a crucial project, his hands trembled over the keyboard. The words wouldn't come, and anxiety tightened like a knot in his chest. "Why is this happening to me?" he thought out loud. At that moment, his phone rang. It was Sophia. "Marcos, are you okay? You seem distant in the last meetings," she said with concern in her voice. He hesitated before responding. "To be honest, I'm terrified. I'm afraid of failing, of not living up to expectations." Sophia smiled on the other end of the line. "You know, we all feel that way at some point. Fear is natural, but it can't paralyze us. Remember when we started this project? You brought brilliant ideas because you weren't afraid to take risks." Marcos sighed. "But what if everything goes wrong now? What if I let everyone down?" "If we don't try, we'll never know. And even if something doesn't go as planned, every mistake is a chance to learn. The important thing is not to give up," she replied firmly. Sophia's words lit a spark inside him. "You're right. I can't let fear control my actions." The next morning, Marcos decided to face his fears head-on. He prepared his presentation with dedication, allowing himself to be vulnerable and authentic. During the meeting, he shared his ideas and even his concerns. "I know some proposals are risky," he told the group, "but I believe thinking outside the box can lead us to extraordinary results." Silence hung in the air for a moment, followed by enthusiastic applause. One of the directors commented, "Your honesty and courage are inspiring, Marcos. This is exactly the kind of innovation we need." Later, as they celebrated, Sophia approached with a smile. "See what happens when we face our fears." He nodded, feeling lighter than ever. "I've learned that failure is not the opposite of success, but part of it. Every stumble has brought me here." Now, I want to ask you, the viewer, what was a moment when you overcame fear and reaped great rewards? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the inspiration someone needs to take the next step. But life has its ways of testing us, and Marcos was not immune to this. After so many achievements, he faced an unexpected setback. A project he had placed all his hopes on suddenly failed. Months of dedication seemed to have been in vain, and the disappointment weighed on his heart like a stone. Sitting alone in his apartment, he watched the city through the window, the distant lights shining like fallen stars. He felt the familiar sense of discouragement trying to resurface, whispering that perhaps he wasn't strong enough. The temptation to give up was real. But then a memory came to him. He remembered all the times he had overcome obstacles that seemed insurmountable. He recalled Lucas's words about self-confidence, the sleepless nights learning something new, the laughs shared with Sophia, and the courage he found when facing his fears. He realized that every previous challenge had prepared him for this moment. Resilience wasn't just a word, but a silent force that pulsed within him. he decided he wouldn't let this failure define his journey. The next day, he gathered his team. With a firm look, he declared, "I know we've taken a hard hit, but this is not the end. Let's analyze where we went wrong, learn from it, and come back stronger. Together, we can turn this failure into our greatest triumph." Marcos' words reignited the flame of determination in everyone. They dove headfirst into the task, reviewing every detail, looking for creative solutions and supporting each other. The hours were long, but the energy was different. There was a renewed sense of purpose, a unity that made the impossible possible. Weeks later, they presented the revised project. The reception was extraordinary. They not only exceeded expectations, but set a new standard of excellence. The joy of that achievement was indescribable, made even sweeter by the challenges they had overcome. Marcos finally understood that resilience is not just about weathering the storms, but learning to dance in the rain. Each fall wasn't an end, but an invitation to rise stronger. His story became an inspiration for many who were also fighting their own storms. And now, I turn to you, the viewer. How many times have you let an obstacle make you give up on your dreams? Maybe it's time to embrace the resilience that lies within you and turn your challenges into victories. Marcos's journey shows us that, regardless of the circumstances, the strength to win is within our reach. The transformation begins now within you. When everything finally seemed to be going right, something unexpected happened that suddenly changed everything. On a normal day, Marcos opened his email and saw an urgent message: project suspended immediately. With his heart racing, he read that the company he was working for was under investigation for serious issues, and all projects were on hold. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This can't be happening," he said to himself. Shortly after the phone rang, it was Sophia, and her voice showed concern. "Marcos, did you see the email? We need to meet right now. Things are complicated." At the meeting, everyone was downcast. They discovered that one of the bosses had embezzled money, and now everyone was paying the price. The chance of losing everything they had worked so hard for was real. Marcos felt disappointment and anger, but he decided he wouldn't give up. "Guys, we can't let one person's actions destroy everything we've built. We'll find a way to save our work." Sophia agreed. "What if we continue the project on our own? We can separate from the company and go independent." The idea was bold and scary, but it ignited hope in the group. Together, they began to plan how to rescue the project. They used all their skills and contacts to make it happen. It wasn't easy. They faced many challenges, but their will to succeed was greater. After intense weeks, they managed to relaunch the project, now under their own management, with everything in order and transparent. The success was incredible, greater than they had imagined. They not only bounced back, but proved that unity and determination can overcome any obstacle. And now I ask you, what would you do if something threatened to undo all your efforts? Do you believe it's possible to turn a crisis into an opportunity? Tell us in the comments. Your story might inspire others not to give up. After all the challenges of launching the project on their own, Marcos and his team were reaping the rewards of success. Things were going well, and he finally felt he was on the right path. But life had one more surprise in store for him. One day, Marcos received an email with an unexpected invitation. A local organization wanted him to share his story at an event. He read the message several times, unable to believe it. "Me? Speak in public," he thought aloud, feeling a knot in his stomach. The fear of public speaking had always been one of his greatest challenges. He remembered how, in school, he avoided presentations at all costs. Now, he had the chance to inspire others, but the fear was still there, firm and strong. Marcos called Sophia. "I don't know if I can do this. What if I freeze up?" She responded kindly, "Marcos, think about everything you've already overcome. Your story could motivate so many people. Don't let fear stop you now." He spent the night thinking. The next day, he decided to accept the invitation. He began preparing his presentation, writing and rewriting, rehearsing in front of the mirror. On the day of the event, while waiting to go on stage, his hands were sweaty and his heart was racing. When his name was called, he took a deep breath and took the first step. Facing the audience, the light seemed brighter, but when he looked at the people, he saw attentive eyes and encouraging smiles. He started speaking, his voice a bit shaky at first. "Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcos, and I want to share with you how I turned the challenges in my life into opportunities." As he told his story, he felt more and more confident. He shared the difficulties, the lessons learned, and how each obstacle helped him grow. People followed every word, and some were even moved to tears. When he finished, the room filled with warm applause. Marcos felt an enormous sense of joy. Several people approached to thank him and say how much his story had inspired them. At that moment, he understood that facing his fear not only strengthened him, but also touched the lives of others. And now I ask you, what fear is holding you back? Isn't it time to face it and take the next step? Share with us in the comments. Your story might be the inspiration someone needs. He smiled as he remembered the people he had met along the way. Lucas, who reignited his self-confidence, Sophia, who encouraged him to face his fears, and everyone else who believed in him when he doubted himself. He understood that no one gets far alone, and that the connections we make enrich the journey and make it more meaningful. Standing up, he decided it was time to give back. He began organizing community meetups, sharing his experiences and listening to others' stories. He saw that many were also struggling with fears and insecurities, and that his journey could serve as inspiration. And now he turns to you. Yes, you who are watching. Marcos learned that transformation begins within each of us, but can spread and touch many lives. So why not take the first step? What dream do you want to realize? What challenge are you ready to face? Share in the comments, and let's support each other on this journey. If this story inspired you in any way, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any new content and you'll help our community grow. Turn on notifications to receive the next stories that could make a difference in your day. Thank you for watching and see you next time.